You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. My name is Arya Whitner, and this is your NXT audio report for Wednesday, June 1st, 2016. It is the go-home show to NXT TakeOver, The End, next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on the WWE Network. And this show was really great for everything that had nothing to do with wrestling. They had a couple segments that were designed purely just to push the top two matches, and they were far superior to anything that happened Bell to Bell. However, there's always a winner and a loser when it comes to wrestling, and even on wrestling shows, there's a show winner and a show loser. Tonight, the show loser was undoubtedly The Revival, who ironically enough kicked off this week's show, coming out for a promo, building up their match next week against American Alpha for the NXT Tag Team Championship. They say that they will be the first ever two-time Tag Team Champions. I should point out that Adrian Neville has been a two-time champion with three different partners. However, they'd be the first actual team to reclaim the belt. Dawson, Cobb Gable, and Jordan, excellent amateur wrestlers, but they are great professional wrestlers. And when the Revival win, Jordan and Gable can go wipe their tears away as the new champs celebrate. This brought out, of all teams, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Ciampa said that the entire crowd knows American Alpha is better than them, and that the Revival can't even beat Gargano and Ciampa. Revival laughed at this and called the interrupting duo undersized bearded guys and good hands, which Gargano and Ciampa pointed out are criticisms that people levy against the Revival. Dawson told him to go back to wrestling in bingo halls, while Ciampa brought up them losing in Dallas. Dash told Gargano and Ciampa to come bother them when they've actually accomplished anything. The Revival started walking away when Gargano mocked them some more. The number one contenders got back in the ring and immediately got drop kicked right out of it. As they retreated up the ramp, they challenged Gargano and Ciampa to a match tonight, which is the main event. Shinsuke Nakamura was backstage cutting a promo for his match with Austin Aries at TakeOver, simply saying that Aries will bow down to the king of strong style. Buddy Murphy got his first name back. He lost his manager, he lost his tag team partner, but not only has he got his first name back, he's facing NXT's most pushed jobber in Ty Dillinger. During this match, I did some research, and while this wasn't completely thorough, I was only able to find 2 times, and Ty Dillinger became the perfect 10, that he actually won a match. The fans were really not into this match. They weren't into Murphy at all, and seemingly the only thing they cared about in regards to Dillinger was chanting 10 at him. Ty won this match surprisingly, winning his 3rd match, with a move that looked a lot like the AA, where instead of just tossing him off to the mat, he tossed him off of a fireman's carry, but hit the back of Murphy's head off of Dillinger's exposed knee. Now, if I recall correctly, Tyler Rex did some move that was similar enough to the AA that John Cena told him off about it. Something tells me if John Cena watches NXT, Ty Dillinger got an email tonight about that. We then had a sit-down interview with NXT champion Samoa Joe and Finn Balor, moderated by Corey Graves, building up to the main event next week, the cage match. Balor started by saying he worked for so long at becoming NXT champion that he did not expect the walls to come crumbling down in Lowell, Massachusetts. Samoa Joe countered by saying that he finally got what he deserved. Joe had to jump through ridiculous hoops, which to an extent he did, just to get title matches. Balor said Joe came in with a sense of entitlement and that there were 100 guys at the Performance Center who deserved the title shot ahead of Joe. Joe scoffed at that and brought up everything we talked about for months, starting last August when Finn asked Joe to be his partner in the Dusty Rhodes Classic, and then when Joe asked for a title shot, Balor didn't say anything when Mr. Regal walked up and put Samoa Joe in a Battle Royal instead, and then he had to do the 2 out of 3 falls match with Sami Zayn, and Joe just brought up everything that really made sense to build up to Joe's eventual heel turn. Balor noted that this is his first ever cage match, but his first ever ladder match was at TakeOver Brooklyn, and he beat Kevin Owens. Joe said that he would have beaten Balor in Dallas, but they kept having doctors pull Joe off since Joe was busted wide open, giving Finn a chance to recover. Graves, towards the end, brought up Balor being considered the future, and Balor said he didn't care about the future. He cares about the present, cares about the now, and he wants his championship belt back. And Joe said that this is all about him showing people their place, and he's going to show Balor his place. Corey tried to wrap it up, which caused champion and challenger to stand up and go face-to-face one last time. He faded to black and went to commercial. That was a really good segment. Austin Aries versus the Drifter Elias Sampson. Aries in 7 days, as we mentioned, will face Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura defeated the Drifter himself about a month ago. Sampson, who's been working on the road a lot with Nakamura and Finn Balor, has gotten better and has gotten a lot more aggressive. And to be fair, it would be really hard to not get better and more aggressive when you're wrestling house show matches with Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura. Anyway, Aries looked good. I know, what a shock that Aries would look good. And he won with the NXT debut of The Last Chancery. After the match, Aries cut a promo saying that after next week, he will show that the spotlight should shine on him and him alone. It was announced that Andrade Cien Almas will debut next week at NXT TakeOver The End. And then we got the main event wrestling segment, where the number one contenders, the Revival, took on Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. The heels cheated to get the heat on Ciampa. Ciampa and Gargano were running wild on the Revival. However, Dawson attacked Ciampa behind the referee's back when Dash was the legal man. Dash and Dawson, I should point out, and this gets overlooked a lot because, people kind of, I don't want to say look down on Dash and Dawson, but they're easy to dismiss them. But Dash and Dawson do an excellent job at kind of playing defense when their opponents are going for the hot tag, and they will cut them off 1,007 times, giving them all these hope spots to try to get the hot tag. And so when the opponents make the tag, it's been held off for so long, and they fought for it, that the crowd is normally into it. Gargano got the hot tag and looked great until he got dropped with a DDT right on top of his head. And then we got the finish right out of the Wrestling Classic. Somebody's been watching that one lately, because in a move right out of Randy Savage versus Dynamite Kid, Scott Dawson gave Johnny Gargano a superplex, but Gargano rolled up Scott Dawson in a small package and pinned him. So yes, the number one contenders lose just 7 days before TakeOver. After the match, the Revival took out their frustrations on the men that beat them, including giving Gargano the Shatter Machine. They went to break Gargano's leg, but American Alpha ran in for the save and beat up the Revival and sent them packing. So just to recap the Revival's night, they came out at the start of the show and got punked out by Gargano and Ciampa. They then lost a fair match to Gargano and Ciampa, and then they got punked out and beat up by American Alpha. So, I don't know what to tell you. The main event segment, final segment of the night, the contract signing for the Women's Championship match at TakeOver with Asuka and Nia Jax. Nia spoke first, mocking Asuka, because all Asuka does is kick a few girls in the head, and that while Asuka beat Bayley, Nia broke Bayley. Unlike all the other girls, Nia is the future and is not scared of Asuka. Asuka then took the mic and said that Nia talks way too much, and if she's not afraid of Asuka, she should be. Nia pushed her away, so Asuka began throwing punches and kicks. However, Nia caught one of the kicks, lifted Asuka in the air, and planted her with a power bomb. So that does it for TakeOver. That does it for NXT. We are 7 days away from TakeOver. I want to thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you again in 7 days.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.